Hey team, Chef Eric Gephardt here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Steak of the Month Club from the Butcher's Market. Today we're featuring yet another one of my favorite cuts of beef, the Bavette. Okay, this comes from the bottom portion of the sirloin right near the flank steak. Similar to skirt steak, holds wonderful marinades, super easy to cook inside, super easy to cook on the grill. Let's get into it. First things first, let's get our steak seasoned up with a little bit of olive oil. And this is just gonna help it from not sticking to either your cast iron pan or your grill grates. A little bit of salt. And notice when I season this steak, this Bavette or any steak, I'm not right on it, okay? I wanna lift up a little higher and let those granules fall down evenly. And I'll do the same thing with this black pepper, and fresh cracked black pepper is always best. Now we'll flip the steak and watch how I give it a little circular motion here, and that helps spread out that olive oil a little bit. We're gonna repeat exactly what we just did. Olive oil, salt from above, and a little black pepper. Now again, this is a steak, the Bavette, this is a steak that really takes marinades super well. So if you want to go Asian with it, do it. You want to go Italian with it, do it. But the Butcher's Market makes it super easy for us, and they made us a chimichurri compound butter. So for me, salt and pepper is perfect on this steak, and the chimichurri compound butter is just gonna set it off. Now they also make it super easy with these beautiful fingerling potatoes, already trayed up, 14 ounces of gorgeous seasoned and roasted potatoes that are heat and eat. So without further ado, let's get the heat and eat potatoes on the grill warming up and get the steak on the grill cooking. This is a relatively thin steak, so really reheating this and cooking this to a medium rare, it's gonna take the same time. All right, potatoes are on the grill. Notice I've got a little deflector shield here. That's an indirect side of the grill. Now, if you have a gas grill, all you have to do is not turn on half of the grill and kind of put those to the side that's not turned on. You'll get enough residual heat from the side that is turned on, which is the direct side. Notice how we don't have anything blocking the heat signature here, just charcoal. We're sitting at a cruisy temperature of 450 to 500 degrees. That's enough to give us a nice sear, a little bit of caramelization on the outside, and still get to that beautiful medium rare we're gunning for. As we're doing this on the grill outside, and I have to get those potatoes warmed up, we're gonna drop the lid on this grill, okay? We're gonna let those potatoes warm up under the dome and let that steak sear for about a minute and a half. Then we're gonna open the dome and give that steak a little turn, close the dome, another minute and a half. So that's gonna be at least 3 minutes for those potatoes before we actually flip the steak. It's been a minute and a half. Let's just take a peek. Normally I would just turn this, but let's take a peek. Starting some good caramelization. Now we just pulled it up from this section right here. I'm gonna move it to a different section because that is the coolest portion of our grill right now because all the energy's been sucked into the steak. Slightly different space. And we're gonna rotate those potatoes just a little bit. Oh, the aromas are already starting to bloom out a little bit. Gonna shut the dome and give it another minute and a half. 1 minute and a half later, and I can tell how the steak is kind of getting taller, right? The sides are shrinking in a little bit. We should have some nice caramelization. Let's look at it together. Oh, that's stunning. And notice, this is a perfect opportunity for us to talk as well. Okay, we just flipped the steak. We're gonna do another 3 minutes on this side, but look at how these lines, can you see those lines? That's us in the future cutting across the grain. So that's the grain we're talking about. If you cut across, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I can't help myself, okay? I'm really passionate about this. This Bavette is amazing. These lines, you cut across them and it's a way mechanically tenderizing, right? So every piece of meat that you bite into is falling apart here, 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 and here, versus if you cut it this way, you're chewing, chewing, chewing. So we can cook this thing perfectly, but if we don't slice it right, it's going to affect the outcome as well. So keep track of those lines. we're gonna cut across. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. Lid's going down. Oh, I almost forgot. Check our potatoes. They're getting warm. You know what, but I do want a little, I want to go a little more aggressive. So I'm gonna push this a little closer to my heat source. Lid down, team. We're looking for an internal temperature of that steak to be somewhere around 135 degrees. 130 to 135. Time for the last turn. Let's take a look. I'm liking the caramelization. Notice how the heat and the salt together are pulling out a lot of moisture out. New spot on the grill. And you know, we're not using a smoking wood, but all the drippings from this beautiful bavette are dropping down onto the charcoal, caramelizing and creating its own kind of blue smoke, which is seasoning this bavette. So not only do we season with salt and pepper, but on another level, on an elevated level, we're seasoning it with the caramelized drippings of its own fat. It's pretty cool. All right, let's close that lid down for another minute and a half, and then we're gonna pull it off and let it rest. All right. I love it. And again, you can see those nice lines coming through. It's a roadmap to how we need to slice this. Potatoes could use another more minute. They're warm, but I want them certainly warmed throughout. So as this steak is resting, we're gonna leave these potatoes right here to finish up. And we're gonna give ourselves about 5 minutes to rest this beautiful bavette. You can hear the dogs barking in the background. The whole neighborhood's probably going nuts with these aromas that are coming off right now. I mean, something about charred beef, and especially something like this, similar to flank, similar to skirt, but a little more tender. This is just a beautiful thing. But we gotta wait, we gotta wait. If you've seen the other videos for the Butcher Market Steak of the Month Club, you know this is the toughest part about cooking, letting the steak rest, but it is vitally important. If you see a ton of juice on your cutting board, that's just an indication that that steak isn't as good as it should have been. We gotta wait. It's been 7 minutes and this bavette is looking spectacular. So let's go ahead and slice. Again, I've iterated this a couple times. We wanna go across the grain. So we're gonna start right here. And by the way, these nooks and crannies right here that have just collected roasted deliciousness, that is my favorite piece of the whole bavette. And that's stunning, okay? As the oxygen interacts, it's gonna begin to bloom out, but all those little nooks and crannies of caramelization, and look at that. Sensational. Now we're gonna cut it a little less than 1/4 inch thick across the grain. And I'm gonna kind of keep it together as I slice it. Still thinking about my potatoes finishing up. And look at that grain. We're just cutting across. And again, this is a way to mechanically tenderize your cut. You hear me say it time and time again, the Butcher's Market makes it so easy for you. These potatoes are perfectly roasted and seasoned. I'm gonna use this as the base of our plate up. So I'm gonna kind of put it towards the back of the plate. Oh, look at those purple Peruvians. I love fingerling potatoes. These are magnificent. And now that we've got a nice stand towards the back, we're gonna take that shingled steak and I'm just gonna take it, I just slid my knife under it, now I'm gonna put a little positive pressure here. We're gonna bring it on around and drape it across the front. We're gonna take a little bit of that compound butter. You know, chimichurri is a beautiful thing with any steak, but when you add the fattiness of butter to it, this is gonna be our sauce. So it is a butter, but as it melts, it's gonna drape itself and drag right across. Just slice that bavette, put that compound butter on the top and let it drape down. Make sure and tell your guests they're gonna get dinner and a show. This is too good to be true. And as it drapes down, not only is it visually impressive, but it's saucing the steak. So without further ado, let's give it a little dip and a go. And you gotta be kidding me. Super easy, super delicious. It doesn't get any easier and better than that. Just a quick sear, a short roast, a dollop of chimichurri butter from the butcher's market with these magnificent potatoes. It's steak and taters reinvented, you know. Team, simple techniques and fantastic meat are gonna win every time. Cheers to the butcher's market for making it so simple for us. Can't wait to see you next month.